Hello and welcome to my science tutorials. In today's video, we want to look at the life cycle of a butterfly. So let's proceed to have an overview of what we are going to learn in today's biology tutorial. First of all, we'll be looking at the introduction and taxonomy of butterfly. Then we proceed to look at the structure of butterfly, and we'll look at a part of a butterfly and their various and individual functions. Then we'll talk about the life cycle of a butterfly, the economic importance of butterfly, and lastly, the difference between a butterfly and a moth. So let's begin by looking at the introduction and taxonomy of a butterfly. Butterflies are beautiful and gorgeous flying insects with large scaly wings. They are considered to be the prettiest insects and belong to the order Lepidoptera. Their scaly patterns found on their wings gives them colorful and distinctive looks and appearance. Now, where do they belong? Where do butterfly belong in terms of the classification? So they belong to the kingdom Animalia, phylum Arthropoda, class Insecta because they are insects, order Lepidoptera, and then family Papilionadae. Now, why do we classify them under class Insecta? Why are they classified under class Insecta? So they are classified under class Insecta because one, they have three main body parts, namely the head, the thorax, and the abdomen. Their head bears a pair of jointed antennae, a pair of compound eyes, and three pair of mouthparts, which are found in all insects. They have three pair of jointed legs situated on each thoracic segment and possesses wings. Their reproduction is by internal fertilization followed by laying of eggs, and their life cycle is either by complete or incomplete metamorphosis. Now, specifically for butterfly, their life cycle is by complete metamorphosis. But these are the characteristics which allows them to be classified under the class Insecta. Now, let's look at why they are classified under the order Lepidoptera. They are classified under the order Lepidoptera because they have two pair of wings. Their hind wings are larger than their forewings. Their wings and bodies are covered with powdery scales. Their mouthparts are modified into a hollow tube called proboscis for sucking, and their life cycle is by complete metamorphosis, like I said earlier. So they have four stages. They go from the egg to the larvae, the pupa, and the adult or the imago. Now let's look at the structure of the butterfly. So the butterfly is just like any other insect, made up of the head, the thorax, and the abdomen. Now let's look at the head. The head of butterfly has two large compound eyes, a pair of antennae, and a mouthpart. The mouthparts are developed into a long, hollow, and flexible tube known as proboscis, which is specially adapted for sucking nectar in flowers. Their proboscis are developed from their pair of maxillae and is called when not in use. The other mouthparts, such as the mandibles and the labium, are poorly developed in butterfly. Now let's look at the thorax of a butterfly. So the thorax is divided into the prothorax, the mesothorax, and the metathorax, which are all covered in hairs and therefore not clearly visible. Each thoracic segment bears a pair of jointed legs used for walking. The mesothorax and the metathorax bears a pair of large membranous wings, which are colored, veined, and covered with scales. The hind wings have two eye spots each, one at the anterior and the other at the posterior end. Now, when a butterfly is flying, the wings are flapped continuously, and when at rest, the wings are raised vertically and held above their heads or body. The abdomen consists of 10 segments. We have each abdominal segment is composed of the tertium and the sternum and is joined by cuticles. The first 8 abdominal segment possesses small circular openings called spiracles, which are used for gaseous exchange in butterfly. The last abdominal segment possesses bristle-like structure called the sessile. Now let's look at the parts of a butterfly and their function. So let's start with the head first. So on the head we have the antennae. They are sensory organs used for detecting smell of flowers, potential mate. They also help with balance and detecting of motion. So the butterfly uses the antennae for detecting the smell of a flower and also for detecting their potential mates, for them to copulate and mate and produce their offsprings. They also help in balancing them when they are in motion. Now the head bears the antennae, a pair of compound eyes and mouthparts, which we are calling proboscis, for sucking. The head On the head we also have the compound eyes, which are used for vision and possesses a very large angle of view. On the thorax we have the three pair of legs. Now the legs are used for climbing and walking. They also help in smelling and tasting of food, usually using the chemoreceptors found on the tarsus. Now the abdomen contains the digestive tract for digestion of food, the spiracles for gaseous exchange, and the reproductive organ of the insects. Now let's look at the thorax itself. The thorax bears a pair of legs used for walking, climbing, smelling, and tasting of foods. It bears the wings which the insects use for flight. Now let's look at the fore and then the hind wing. So the forewing is used for flight as well as camouflage due to the colorful pattern found on them. The scent scales on the forewings releases pheromones for attracting females. Now the hind wings are also used for flight as well as camouflage due to their colorful pattern on them. The hind wing help to execute evasive flight in a zigzag pattern at a high speed. So that is why you see butterfly flying and they are always going in a zigzag pattern, and it's quite difficult for you to just catch them. So that is they're able to navigate like that or go in that pattern at high speed due to their hind wings. Now let's talk about the life cycle of a butterfly. So the life cycle of a butterfly is a process called complete metamorphosis. This cycle of life shows four distinct stages of the insect, starting from the egg to the larva to the pupa and the adult or the immature. So as we can see in the pictures over here, we have the egg over here, which is on the leaf. Then we have the larvae over here, which is the second stage. Then it pupates to form the pupa, which we can see on the third stage over here. And then the last stage is what we are calling the adult or the full-grown butterfly. Now let's talk about the eggs. Now the eggs are fertilized internally through mating between the adult male and then the adult female butterflies. The female butterfly then lays its eggs on either small branches or in singles on the undersurface of leaves of trees, especially citrus trees. This is done in order to avoid damage to the eggs by external factors such as the rain, heat from the sun. These tiny spherical white and greenish white eggs hatch into larvae after 10 days. The larvae can also be called the caterpillars. So for butterflies, they are egg after mating, and then the female lays the egg under the leaf to protect them from harsh environmental conditions. After 10 days, they hatch into the larvae, which we call the caterpillars. Now let's look at the larvae or the caterpillars. So the caterpillar possesses powerful mandibles for feeding on leaves. It has three pair of two walking legs on the thoracic segment. It also has four pair of prolegs occurring on the third, fourth, fifth, and sixth segments. It has claspers born on the 10th and last segment. The prolegs, true legs, and the claspers are used for locomotion and holding firmly onto objects. Gaseous exchange in the caterpillar occurs through the spiracles found on the body segments to generate energy in respiration. Now, as a defensive mechanism in caterpillar, the caterpillar uses the osmeterium born on the first thoracic segment in emitting a foul smell to scare away its enemies. The caterpillar molts about 3 to 4 times to become an adult caterpillar, having distinct head, thorax, and abdomen. The fully grown caterpillar finds a suitable place where it secretes a silk pad, a cremaster, and a silk girdle on a twig to suspend itself firmly. It then undergoes the last molting and transforms into the pupa or the chrysalis. The pupa or the chrysalis. So the pupa stage is an immobile stage where the organism does not move nor eat. The tissues of the pupa breaks down and reorganize into that of an adult butterfly. The adult butterfly or the imago. So after pupating for about 11 days, the pupal case splits along the upper surface and the young adult or imago crawls out. It rests for a few hours for its wet and folded wings to dry to enable it to fly. So we can see that the life cycle of the butterfly starts from the eggs, okay, then it moves to a young larva which undergoes some maturity to become the matured larva, and then it begins to pupate, so we call that the pupating larva. Then from there it moves to the early stage of pupating, the mature stage of the pupating stage, and then when the pupation is done and the butterfly is about to come, then we have the emerging imago or the emerging adult butterfly, which now still, as we can see over here, well defined. We can see the butterfly coming out, and then we can see it fully out over here, just waiting for some couple of hours for the wings and everything to dry off before it starts flying as the matured butterfly. So this is a summary of the various changes and then the transformations that the butterfly undergoes to become the adult or the full grown butterfly. But like I said, the process is complete metamorphosis and it only has 4 stages. So it has the egg stage, which is the first stage. All these stages are what we are calling the larva stage. From the young larva to the pupating larva, they are called the larva stage. From the early pupa to the matured pupa is the pupa stage, and then from the emerging imago to the matured butterfly is also one as the adult. So let's look at some economic importance of butterfly. So one is they pollinate flowers as they feed on the nectar from the flower. So they help in pollination of flowers, which is good for us. The larval and the adult stage damages leaves as they feed on them. So they cause damage to leaves because they eat them and that becomes their source of food. So in cases where you plant a crop and the leaf is the important part of that particular crop, then they become a nuisance since they will damage your crop for you. 3. Some larvae such as silkworm produces high quality silk for making clothes. So we can get silk from high quality larvae, for example, like silkworm. And then some larvae are collected, roasted, and eaten as food in some places. So for some people, the larvae is also a food for them. They enjoy it so much. Now let's talk about the difference between a butterfly and a moth. So for a butterfly, they are mostly active during the day, but for a moth, they are mostly active during the night, so they are nocturnal. For butterflies, they have thin, delicate body with bright coloration. For a moth, they have thick body with dark coloration. So a moth is not often brightly colored. You see, their color is dull, unlike the butterfly, which is very beautiful with many colors. Now, for butterflies, they have antennae with knobbed tips. Now, for moth, they have antennae with both pointed and leathery feathers. So for a moth, you see that their antenna is not just long and pointed and knotted. Okay, they are feathery. For a moth, they are feathery. It looks like a small feather is on it. For a butterfly, their fore and hind wings are separate and not joined. But for a moth, the fore and hind wings are locked together. So they are locked together. There's no clear distinction between their fore and the hind wing because they are fused together. For a butterfly, their wings are folded vertically over the head when at rest. But for a moth, their wings lie horizontally or outstretched during rest. So thank you so much for watching this life cycle of butterfly. I hope you find it very useful and you can obtain a lot of useful information from this particular tutorial. So thank you once again for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.